see I get smoked, nigga.
Work, nigga. Gang, B-I-B-O,
One double O,
B-I-B-O.
Big B-boy on them gang shit, you know,
big
rocky
B-boy on them
nigga.
niggas.
Became my blunt, bitch.
You're watching the master at work.
Smoke 'em like a BK, that's CG. On the range, still smoke on your OG. Tryna put it.
Hey yo, what up, squad? Hey man, welcome back to HOODROK Entertainment, the realest, illest, dopest, and most active reaction channel on YouTube. Denmark, what's up, bruh? What's up, bruh? So, yo, this was sent in on IG, and yo, my bad, bro. I had your name, I made sure to keep your name in the top of my head, and then as soon as I tapped in and set this up, I forgot. So, yo, my bad, bro. But, shout out to you anyway, bro. I think I've still got to react to a song that you requested too, so I'll shout you out in that one, bro. Alright, my bad. Anyway, for everyone else, if it's your first time tapping in, bro, hit that subscribe button, click up, squad up, tapping. Bro, we the realest, illest, dopest, and most active reaction channel on YouTube, and I mean every word of that. Now, you can go and do the research. You can go do the research yourself. All of that shit. I guarantee you, we're dropping 4, sometimes 5 videos a day. Yesterday we dropped 7 reactions, bro. Well, 6 reactions, sorry, and 1 short. But we dropped 6 reactions yesterday, right? The day before that we dropped 5, and you know, just regular shit, right? And so we get down on the side. So yo, hit the subscribe button, click up, squad up, tap, and whatever you want to call it, go do that. Make sure you got your green, cause we're going geography now to Denmark. Bro, I totally forgot. I thought I had done this. Then I went and checked my channel, and yo, what a rude guy, bro. He did Norway, he did Sweden, Finland, you know what I mean, but didn't do Denmark. Come on, bro, wake up. So anyway, better late than never, bro. Alright? And yo, I hope you're smoking. I hope your eyes are blazing. You know what I mean? Like, we blazing. So yo, we'll start this.
Remember in the Angola episode I mentioned how I went to Denmark one time and bought a sandwich that was $21? Well, this was that sandwich, and my reaction was like, $21? Oh, this better.
$21 for a sandwich. Now, he's American. So, if he's talking in American dollars, damn. That's 39 New Zealand dollars. That's 39 New Zealand dollars, bro.
Better be the best sandwich I've ever had in my life. You got lucky.
You got lucky. You know what I would have said? This better be the best sandwich I've ever had in my life. And then it comes back and I would have been looking at the camera and I'm like, can I get another one of those sandwiches, please? I'll grab another one of those, please, bro.
It's time to learn geography.
Now! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbie, Legos, Vikings, and Roll mit Flol. We got a lot to cover, so let's jump in.
Barbie. Alright.
Denmark, the link.
That's the first time I've heard him say that. Like, at the start of all the ones I've reacted to, he calls himself Barbs. I mean, Barbs. I didn't know his name was Barbie.
Between the rest of Europe and Scandinavia, so much to discuss. Denmark is classified as a Nordic country, hence located in the Northern European region, even though it's kind of like the southernmost state in the Nordics. Full disclaimer.
Yo, Finland is not Scandinavian. Alright? Finland, Greenland, Faroe Islands, Iceland, Alaska, they're not Scandinavian. They're Nordic, but they're not Scandinavian. There's only 3 Scandinavian countries, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Ignore Wikipedia. I'm going to pronounce the location names in their proper Danish context. So here we go. Denmark is made of the Jutland, not Jutland Peninsula that connects to Germany in the south as well as...
is that how you... Hold on. Is that how you pronounce that? Hold on.
Jutland, not Jutland
Jutland. Gotcha.
Peninsula that connects to Germany in the south as well as 1,419 islands. Of those, only 443 are named and 74 are inhabited. With the largest island being Zeeland, not Zealand, which is not to be confused with Dutch Zeeland.
Yes, that's what my country's named after. My country is named after Zeeland over in the Netherlands. right? Zealand Island, which is that little red bit down here. That's the Zealand Islands. So when Abel Tasman saw New Zealand, because he was the first European to see New Zealand, we were already here, but when he sighted New Zealand, that's what he named it. He named it after his own homeland, which was the Zealand Islands. I mean, that's how you get the word New Zealand.
Which is not to be confused with New Zealand, although they did get their name. Not to be confused with Dutch Zealand, which is not to be confused with New Zealand, although they did get their name.
Can't take it!
He was about to say, although they did get their name from Zealand in the Netherlands.
That's too much information!
It is connected to Fyn Island, not Finn Island, by the Great Belt Bridge completed in 1998. The country is divided into 5 regions, the capital being Copenhagen, located on Sjælland. Copenhagen is home to a myriad of historical sites, palaces, statues, residential units that are all the same. Is home to a myriad of historical sites, palaces, statues.
Joe, is that really on that rock? Nah. Is that really on that? Nah, surely not. Look how big those ducks look in the background, or geese, or whatever the fuck they are. Look how big they are compared to those rocks. Are you sure this shit ain't Photoshop? Like, those are big ass birds, bro. If that's a statue, either the statue is small or the birds are big.
Residential units that are all the same height and style, with pockets of colorful, quaint, cozy shops and cafes, and dangerous bicycle lanes that you are not supposed to walk on. Now this is where things are going to get a little spiced
We've
up.
got the same shit.
I mean freezing cold and covered in whale blubber. Denmark, for those of you who didn't know, is a kingdom, one of the last surviving ones in Europe. And
bro, and it is huge. It is huge. I know this. The Kingdom of Denmark has Greenland, and the Faroe Islands. I'm pretty sure the Faroe Islands are under the Kingdom of Denmark. I'm pretty sure, bro. Yeah, I could be wrong.
Covered in whale blubber. Denmark, for those of you who didn't know, is a kingdom, one of the last surviving ones in Europe, and is currently under the headship of chain-smoking Queen Margaret II. These still fall under Danish sovereignty and make up...
Chain-smoking Queen. Oh, shit. So she's named after Margaret I. That's dope. That's dope to know.
The massive Greenland island and the little Faroe Islands. Both of these places are...
Yo, I have not watched this, bro. I swear on my son's grave, bro. I have not watched this. But it's good to know that the shit that the information that I've gathered over the years, bro, because, I just pick up bits and pieces here and there as you do. But, I'm glad that it was not capped. I'm glad it wasn't capped.
Radically different from mainland Denmark. For one, Greenland is primarily inhabited by native Inuit
and they speak Swedish, don't they?
Island and is 80% covered in ice year-round. The Faroe Islands are a conglomeration of 20-ish mystical, cloudy, windy islands.
My bad. Alansk speaks Swedish, I'm pretty sure.
Have this crazy looking lake that looks like it's about to spill over the cliffs into the ocean. These two areas have their own self-governing home rule.
It's like New Zealand, man.
Depending on Denmark for military, justice, currency, and foreign affairs. Otherwise, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, historically, they did try to kind of create an empire by colonizing parts of the Caribbean, Ghana, India, and then in the Nicobar Islands and the Indian Ocean, but they kind of ran out of money and ended up selling everything to other countries. Too bad. It would be awesome to see people in the Indian Ocean speaking Danish.
Yo, that'd be fun.
Nonetheless, mainland...
That'd be fun. Imagine that. Like, walking up to a dude who looks Indian and everything about him's Indian, and then he starts spitting in Danish. Or Dansk. You know what I mean? That's the actual way, that's the actual name of the Danish language. Dansk.
Denmark is kind of like a fast-moving economic machine. Let's talk about how. Now, when it comes to land makeup, Denmark is pretty flat. I mean, the highest point, Møllehøj, is only about 170 meters tall, and it looks like this.
Damn.
Otherwise, only about 13% of the highest point, Møllehøj, is only about 170 meters tall, and it looks like this.
No way, bro. Like, you haven't got no mountains, no big hills, no ranges, none of that. Really? Damn.
Otherwise, only about 13% of the country is forested, including the tree plantations, and the rest is pretty much used for agriculture that can produce enough food to feed about 15 million people. It's about 3 times the size of their entire population. Good for you, Denmark. But
Sugar
one thing Denmark
cane,
is
all
actually
that
famous
shit.
for growing is non-produce plants like grass, fodder, and Christmas trees. The highly sought-after
Shit.
Danish Nordmann fir has been classified as the Rolls-Royce of Christmas trees, and every year investors from Germany, the Netherlands, and even the UK jump in at the end of November
I
and
didn't
grab
even know
whatever they
that.
can before it's gone. Now, one thing you need to know is that, like many other areas in the Nordic region, Denmark's weather can be quite dreary. First of all, Denmark is the
Unpredictable,
only
wait.
Nordic country that doesn't really get a lot of snow. Denmark is kind of like the
I was talking to a couple Danes on my live streams, right? Shout out to all these too, because we got thousands of subscribers from, you know, the Nordic countries, bro. Thousands. You know what I mean? The most being in Sweden, and then Denmark, and Finland, Norway. Actually, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Norway. So yeah, bruh, I'm learning heaps more shit on this too. But I was talking to a couple of them, and they were telling me that the weather in Denmark, 1 minute you be out in your shorts, your summer gear, and then it's just start raining and shit. You know what I mean? And then next minute it's sunny again, like half an hour later, kind of thing.
First of all, Denmark is the only Nordic country that doesn't really get a lot of snow. Denmark is kind of like the mud pit located below the jet stream blocked by Norway and the UK. This means that even though it gets really cold, pressure systems rarely cause snow. This is also pretty much why everybody dresses like a J. Crew fall fashion line model on the streets. If you're gonna get wet and freezing, you may as well look good while doing it. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, pretty much the rest of Denmark is
Facts.
just rolling green plains with sandy beaches and quirky little islands that people like to hop over for camping trips in the summer. If we were gonna talk about Greenland and the Faroe Islands,
Yo, that must be a like boring road trip. Traveling, or you know what I mean, traveling across Denmark must be boring, bro. Like there's nothing to look at. You know what I mean? Like no mountains, no big forests over the hills and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like damn, New Zealand's the most beautiful country in the world, but the road trips here, bro, out the gate, bro.
that people like to hop over for camping trips in the summer. If we were going to talk about Greenland and the Faroe little islands that people like to hop over for camping trips in the summer. If we were going to talk about Greenland and the Faroe Islands, we would get a radically different story of mind-boggling, captivating cliffs, bluffs, sea stacks, glaciers, fissures,
That's what I
icebergs,
mean.
and mountains. If you don't know
That's
what
New
a
Zealand.
Mulan
That's New Zealand. We got all of that here.
is, it's not this, but this.
This Mulan is large enough to swallow a school bus.
Ooh.
We'll
Damn.
have to save that for another video that'll come out in 9,374 years. In the meantime, let's talk about the people. Now this is gonna get really fun. Denmark's people are really unique in their cultural, historical, and postmodern upbringing. First of all, the country has about 5.7 million people and is one of the highest taxed countries in
Really? Yeah, same population as us. We've got just over 5 million
the
as well.
world. About 89% of the country identifies as ethnically Danish, about 11% are others. Some of the largest groups in the other category being the Polish, Germans, Turkish, Romanians, Iraqis, and Afghans. Now when it comes to Danish culture,
Damn. Iraqis and Afghans from the Middle East, they've traveled across Europe. And damn, alright.
there's a lot behind it, but in a nutshell, Vikings. Vikings pretty much had their start in what is now present-day Denmark, and whom pretty much dominated
my
all the
water.
Nordic regions as far as Newfoundland in Canada to Estonia, which is what
Hold on, yo, my bad. Here we go. My bad, yo.
Vikings. Vikings pretty much had their start in what is now present-day Denmark, and whom pretty much dominated all of the Nordic regions as far as Newfoundland in Canada to Estonia, which is why most of the Nordic states and regions can
Bro, they even like, bro, they took a lot of land off other countries, bro. Like they controlled the southern part of Sweden for years, bro. You know what I mean? And Norway and shit like that, like Finland, all over the place, bro. They controlled a lot of places. But Sweden ended up fucking them up. Just saying, Sweden ended up beating them down and taking their shit back.
pretty much understand each other when they talk. Danes, Swedes, Norwegians, and Icelanders can generally understand each other as they have the same basic linguistic structure. Sure, there are subtle discrepancies, but overall they can kind of get by conversationally.
That's dope.
Olen saunassa, jos jotain
Granted, there's a saying, the Norwegian and Swedish languages sound like dancing fairies, whereas the Danish language sounds like
Rough.
a dude with a potato in his mouth.
Gotcha.
By the way, anybody who wants to
We're
learn
the
Danish...
same. We're the same. So the Samoans, the Tongans, my people, the Maori from New Zealand, Fijians and stuff, we all share the same, well, it's not the same language. I can't understand the Samoan when he's speaking Samoan, but I can understand some of his words and, piece together the rest.
Full disclosure, it's gonna suck.
Because we were
The
all
J
one
makes
people
the Y
once upon a
sound,
time.
The Y makes the U sound, the V makes a W sound, the R makes a R sound, the H is silent half the time, a ton of the letters are never even used, and don't even get started on A, U, and O. I kind of discovered a little trick though when I went to Denmark. When speaking Danish, all you really have to do is kind of like pronounce the first part of the word that you think makes a sound, and then just kind of like give up on the rest of the word. For example, Copenhagen, Nubrogen, Lustrand.
That's a good one. That's a good trick.
For example,
shit.
Copenhagen, Nubrogen, Lustrand. I'm literally just listing names of places in Copenhagen that I've been to. Honestly though, you really won't have much of a problem getting around if you speak English. Over 80% of the entire country, mostly the younger generation, speaks proficient English to the point where they don't even need subtitles when watching American TV shows and movies. Also, keep in mind that
Bro, what?
Greenland has its
Hold
own.
on.
They don't even need percent of the entire country, mostly the younger, won't have much of a problem getting around if you speak English. Over 80% of the entire country.
Bro. Why have I got the subtitles on? Why the hell are we watching this with subtitles? If 80% of y'all can understand what he's... Yo, stop playing. But, yeah, I only turned them on for that other 20%. Nah. I didn't even know that, what he just said. I didn't even know that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put the subtitles up there.
Mostly the younger generation speaks proficient English to the point where they don't even need subtitles when watching American TV shows and movies.
And it's proficient.
Also, keep in mind, Greenland
Shit.
has its own language that is completely unintelligible, as it's an Inuit language closer to the indigenous Inuktitut and Yupik languages found in Canada and Alaska. And Faroese is pretty hard for most Danish people to grasp.
They were already there. Greenland, the Greenland people from Greenland were already there. That's why they're Nordic and not Scandinavian, right? They were already there, and then the Vikings came along one day and introduced their culture and their way of living to Greenland, and that's why, they have the same culture and the same principles, things like that. But the DNA and all that shit will be different. You know what I mean?
Grasp, as it actually has more words rooted in the ancient Norse language, and it's actually more intelligible to Icelandic. Back to culture though, Denmark has definitely left its mark. Whether Faroese is pretty hard for most Danish people to grasp, as it actually has more words rooted in the ancient Norse language.
What do you call it?
Pretty hard for most
What do you call it?
Inuktitut and Yupik languages found in Canada and Alaska. And Faroese is pretty hard for most Danish people to grasp, as it actually has more words rooted in the ancient Norse language, and it's actually more intelligible to Icelandic. Back to culture though, Denmark has definitely left its mark. Whether it's notable figures like author Hans Christian Andersen, philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, or whether
Margaret the First.
name.
Shit.
It's not Soren Kierkegaard. Or whether it be the invention of the loudspeaker, or Legos, or their love of handball, their
Hold on.
impeccable, or whether it be the invention of the loudspeaker, or
Oh shit! I knew you invented Lego. I knew that, but the loudspeaker, that's fire, bro.
Legos, or their love of handball, their impeccable architecture, love of cuisine. Noma in Copenhagen, by the way, being voted the best restaurant in the world with plates that feature live ants and moss. If you're really gonna get a feel for Danish culture though, you kind of have to know
What?
plates that feature live
Live ants.
ants and moss.
Now I'd eat it. I'd eat it. I'd eat it if I was coming to your house for dinner and you served it up on the plate. You know what I mean? And if you're eating it, I'll eat it. I'm not rude. I don't turn down food. I don't know if there's any food that I don't like, because I eat everything, bro. But if you're eating it, I'll eat it, bro. You know what I mean?
If you're really gonna get a feel for Danish culture though, you kind of have to know about janteloven and hygge. The funny thing is, Danes are kind of brought up in a social mindset that is kind of integrated into their subconscious, known as janteloven, which kind of translates to something like, you are not better than the crowd, which I know sounds kind of depressing,
it's
but
dope.
it's really trying to instill a sense of
dope.
equality and communal cooperation. Hygge
That's
translates to something like, spend good times with friends and family, and it's like a cozy
fine.
thing. Of course, Denmark is known for being ranked one of the happiest overall countries, even though they're
Yes,
also
it
kind
is.
of one of the highest ranked consumers of antidepressants.
New Zealand, Denmark, Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, and Finland, we lead the way in all that shit. You know what I mean? The safest countries. Don't forget, it's not talking about safe for, you know, when you look at New Zealand's safety rating, that's not telling you how safe it is for me who lives here. That's the safety rating on how safe it is for you to travel here. So you get people that go, what would you know about gang shit? You live in one of the safest countries in the world. No, it's safe for you, bro. It's safe for tourists to come and visit and leave. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna see no gang members or nothing, bro. We don't hang out at the museum. You know what I'm saying? But ask the dudes who've got beef with the next street how safe it is for them. You know what I mean?
Presents as well. But hey, they still pull off everyday life looking oh so good, even if it's during one of those really loud annual emergency drills.
Okay, Christine, explain what's happening right now.
What's that? What do you mean?
Denmark is testing the sirens for warfare. Yeah, when we're being attacked by the Germans again.
I'm scared. I'm really scared right now.
Yo, that's right. I forgot about that, bro. So just before World War, I think it was World War II. I'm pretty sure it was World War II, just before, it was one of the wars, World War I, World War II, but I think it was World War II. Before World War II, yes it was, Denmark was actually, they spent 5 years under Nazi rule, bro. Under the Nazi regime rule, right? Not many people will remember that, or not many people would have learnt that, I don't think. You guys probably all know that, but yeah, 5 years under the Nazi regime's rule. And that ended after the war finished, I think.
Let's run to the
1944,
basement.
you sure?
The Germans are coming!
Speaking of Germans, now we all know that one person we're all kind of jealous of because they're kind of rich, well-adjusted, and have a ton of friends, and they're like kind of good-looking. Well, that's Norway. Denmark is a little bit rockier. No, but seriously, for such a small nation,
This dude's funny as hell. I thought he was going to say Denmark.
kind of good looking. Well, that's Norway. Denmark is a little bit rockier. No, but seriously, for such a small nation, Denmark has a huge entourage of friends, and it's almost kind of hard for anyone in the world to dismiss them at a party. As a founding member of the EU and NATO, Denmark has had roots planted in diplomacy for decades. First off, Denmark generally gets along with Germany. Business between the Germans is a hugely integral part of their economy, and Denmark acts like the gateway to Scandinavia for them and the rest of Europe. The US and the UK...
That's because y'all are the OGs. It's because you, like, you know, when it comes to Vikings, that's where they come from. You know, the first Vikings come from Denmark.
are incredibly close as both tangible and cultural imports have been established of Europe. The US and the UK are incredibly close as both tangible and cultural imports have been established for centuries. For a while, the Danes even took over parts of the UK, which is why to this day the English language still contains hundreds of old Norse-derived words like leg, dog, and
That's right,
window.
bro. That was at the same time they were, bro, that's when the kingdom of Denmark was at its peak. Like, the kingdom of Denmark back in its day, you put those countries together, it was bigger than Russia. Like, bro, it's bigger than Russia now. You know what I mean? It's just lucky all the land is separated. You know, Greenland, Faroes Islands, you know, Denmark and shit. Huge.
Closest friends, though, would have to be the Nordic countries, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Iceland. These four are without a doubt Denmark's closest friends, even though Sweden and them have kind of had more wars and battles historically than any other two states in the world.
Because Norway and Denmark are like cousins, like actual cousins. I mean, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden are like brothers. And the Faroes Islands and Greenland and Iceland, they're like the adopted brothers. Like, you know what I mean?
They've moved on and grown up. Out of the Nordic countries, though, Norway would probably be considered their best friends. Danes are obsessed with Norwegians and often consider Norway the girlfriend they took away from Sweden. In conclusion, Denmark is the rich, rainy rascal
That's because Denmark and Sweden, the wars between Denmark and Sweden way back, like, insane. Like, you've warred with Sweden a few times, right?
seems to show up on time for every party, but somehow gets all his work done in an organized, efficient manner. Stay tuned, Djibouti is coming up next.
What? Did he say your booty is coming up next? I'm playing.
In an organized, efficient manner. Stay tuned, Djibouti is coming up.
You know, like Joe Mama. Like Joe Mama. Yeah, Joe Booty's coming up next, bro. Anyway, that was fire, bro. I learned a lot more than I already knew, but I thought I knew a lot. And that's, bro, what I already knew, plus all of this, it still ain't shit. Like, there's always tons more you can learn, bro. John, you know what it is, HOODROK Entertainment's where it's at. I'm glad that a lot of those things that he talked about, they sort of just, you know, they reassured the shit that I already kind of knew. But, yo, that's dope. I learned a lot more, too. So run the numbers up on this. Hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss the drop. Sweden's up next, bro. Yeah, I know what's up. Mad love. Thanks for tapping in, bro. I appreciate all the support. Yo, go check out the history playlist that you see pop up. There's a whole bunch of videos on the Vikings. There's the other Nordic countries that I've reacted to. The whole bunch of stuff, bro. You know what up. HOODROK Entertainment's where it's at. Stay safe, stay dangerous, and we out. Peace.